As a youth, with nothing but the shirt on my back, I crossed the country a couple of times and discovered why Jesus told his true servants to go with nothing but the shirt on their back. Well, in the process of going with money and without money, I had experienced two different worlds, and this is what gives me the insight. When I had nothing but the shirt on my back, I met different world. Not wanting anything from anybody, not begging anything. I would pick up bottles along the road and turn them in. You could get 2 cents a bottle in those days, and that was enough for what I really needed as I walked along the road. But many people were very kind. Truck drivers could offer me a place to sleep in the back of the truck, moving vans with their blankets. They'd ask me if I had eaten, buy a meal. I had some people invite me to their home. Man was in Kansas, and I was selling magazines. His wife invited me to come back for supper. He worked in an aircraft factory there, and offered to give me a place to stay and help me get a work job, and I could then get my own apartment. But I had a forged birth certificate. I was only 16, so I couldn't really consider that. But the basic idea is I met a soft human nature that was caring and Christ-like, childlike. I don't mean everybody. I mean when I went with nothing but the shirt on my back. I had offers to do things that were evil and corrupting. Homosexuals, young guys on the road wanting a partner for some criminal activity, burglarizing or something. And I just simply said, no, it's against my religion, and they left me alone. When I went with money in my pocket, selling, I met a different world. And this is what gives me the insight into Jesus telling his servants to go 2 by 2. That they could meet this spirit of a child. And now Olga and I have been living in Russia spring and fall for the last 9 years. And we shared the gospel with people. We shared the gospel of Luke chapter 10, that the Lord had servants that gave up all and went 2 by 2. And that same spirit of a child was there. A neighbor, Luba's mother, offered her apartment when the first 2 workers came to be there for a few days. It was Teo and I can't remember the other man's name. He's overseer in Greece now. But they had come from Armenia and were on their way to Moscow. Luba, a neighbor's mother, gave them her apartment for the time they were there. Then the next time, Arnie Floss came, and he stayed with Luba's. Luba is a widow. Her mother has her own apartment, but lives with Luba instead. most of the time anyway. Well, they really enjoyed Arnie and wanted him back. He was only there for part of a week, but after he had left, there were women coming to the door that he had spoken to on the street looking for him. They wanted to know more about the Bible. After that, Olga and I got an apartment, a place where workers could stay. But, and they've used it. They've used it mainly for storage, because they like to get a batch. Only one other time did a worker stay was last year. Sanook was there for the fall until January, and stayed with Olga's mother. But Olga's mother offered a home and problems with registration to help. Olga's father had offered his home. They had separate front and back apartments in the same home. Although now Olga's father has given the apartment to a nephew and lives with the nephew. But Olga's daughter would have a home that they could use. And my point is that going with nothing but the shirt on your back would be an invitation, and is the thought of it opens homes. And basically that was my testimony. There's another testimony after that, but I'll leave that for another time. I hope that this has some value to you, especially that in God we live and move and have our being. There are no laws outside of God's laws. This was not part of my testimony, but I'll say it with closing. Mercy is understanding God's laws. When we ask for mercy, yes, there are psychological effects. If we think it's good for us, it tends to be good for us. But there's also the hard reality of God's laws that we are violating, or that we've been violated and corrupted. And the closer we can draw to God and respect His laws, that's our mercy. The mercy is that we can get to know more about God and His healing. The healing of being in compliance with His laws, whether they be physical or chemical or biological or psychological or cultural. God has laws, and when they're respected, there's a maximization of some potential for intelligent existence. We, in this reality, we live and have our being and have an opportunity to take the gifts of the life that we have and make the most of it. I thank you. The Gypsies discovered the secret of going with nothing when they escaped the Islamic invasion of India 1,000 years ago.